Friends, it's my honor to have a great classical guitarista, Tule, here with me today. She recently gave an absolutely stunning performance of 9 highly difficult pieces spanning 5 countries and 4 continents at the Guitar Masters Festival in New York City. Tule originally is from Vietnam, now resides in Bahrain, and she is so much more than a virtuoso classical player. Tule combines styles of classical, bossa nova, flamenco, samba, and world music into her performances. Tule, welcome. I just want to say...
nice to meet you again here, and it's my pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Oh, the honor is mine. Thank you for agreeing to come on and have a conversation with me, because I was very enthralled and mesmerized by your playing when I had seen you on April 27th. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. You're all over YouTube, all over Google. You have a very strong footprint in social media, I see. It was easy
you have to catch up with the young generation, so I feel like I'm in between the generation, a little bit part of me from the old style that very much against, social media and all, but the other part tell me I have to catch up with this new generation.
Well, you've done extremely well for yourself, because I see your YouTube and you're very active there, and you're always posting new stuff. And I see your Instagram. So, I mean, you're just like these young kids, that are, posting every day. But I mean, you're posting like good content. It's not
it really gives me a little bit of, excitement of keeping up with the world, and also giving my audience, my fans, of how I practice, how I live my life as a normal human, not just as a musician. So to give also a message to people that, we are also human beings. We also eat, we also oversleep, we also come late to a venue. I also go shopping like many other girls.
Oh, you go shopping? Oh,
yes, surprisingly. Yes, I do.
Well, that's great, because it's wonderful to show the human side and to show vulnerabilities and just everyday mundane activities. That, yes. In other words, you're just like everyone else. You just have this supernatural talent, and which is we'll get to, because I'm pretty floored at some of the things that I've read. Like, for instance, like you started playing guitar at the age of 4, or were you already accomplished? Because I was reading that you picked up the guitar at 4, and then you ended up winning a competition at 5. So...
No, actually at 5 I had my first performance in public. And at 7 I passed the exam to the Conservatory in Hanoi.
Hanoi?
Yes. I entered the music conservatory in Hanoi, Vietnam.
Oh, and you were the youngest ever to be accepted into the conservatory.
Yes, I was 7, and I remember the rule at that time was you have to be above 8 or so. So it was, I was very young, and I remember there was some discussion because I was below the age. But then eventually they
gave in.
Me. Yeah, they give up. They give up the rule. Okay, whatever.
They changed the rule for you. That's how much power you have. But I was just wondering, what compelled you to play guitar at such a young age?
To be honest, I don't remember how I started. I guess that was too young of the age that you don't have so much memory. But the reason I could start it so early, because my father was also a guitarist, even though his main job was he was a painter. So he did painting as the main job, but also he did guitar professionally. So I was lucky to have such an environment that I guess I grew up naturally with art, with music. And in fact, my father got me the guitar when I was 2 years old, a quarter size, so it's tiny. And then when I was 3, he started with some, notes here and there. But at 4, I was seriously learning, as what he said, not that I could remember anything. So I guess the fact of living in such an environment, hearing my father playing every day, looking at him, it was easier for me. And also it's a natural pressure that, you have to practice. you have to do it. There's no way out. There's no lying like my students now. So every day with him.
Yeah, you just absorbed through osmosis, being around your father. And you just answered my next question. What did you come from a musical family? Obviously you had. Did your father play classical guitar?
Yes, he was a classical player too. But also I think in terms of style, I guess I also get influence a lot from him because, classical for us mean if you play like Bach music or Francisco Tárrega, all the standard composers for guitar. But also he played a little bit like flamenco style. Also he played a little bit of Beatle, which have the arrangement for guitar. So still in classical style, but different type of music. And I guess that also gives me a lot of influence that I'm not only limited myself in classical music.
Yes, you're very eclectic, actually. Your styles, you fuse many different styles together.
I love it because I feel like I guess the music that you choose or you play in art in general, it reflects your personality a lot. And me, myself, sometimes I feel I discover different person in myself. Sometimes I'm very serious and quiet, wearing a nice proper shirt like this, and sometimes I would wear like broken jean and baggy clothes.
I see your social media.
Exactly.
the different sides of Thule. I see you with your ripped jeans. And you're sort of edgy side.
Yeah, the dark side.
And then your dark side. I see you doing your poses on the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City.
Yeah.
Flipping your leg back. And it's fun. I see the fun side of you,
yes.
which is great. And what was kind of cool was on your YouTube channel you have all of these really difficult impossible pieces to play, and then you have one video where you're improvising on a Fender Strat guitar which was made a few months ago, which was really cool.
Yes. Yeah, so there it answers all your question. Yeah, so I like to be different at different time of different situations, and in a way I'm happy about this. That gives me so many colors in my guitar playing only.
Yeah, but not only your guitar playing, but it reflects your personality per se.
Yeah.
The way that you express yourself through the guitar, through these many different channels and different genres. Reflects, a very fun and, a bit of a complex personality, which is really cool. So, I like that. I really loved your rendition of Aquarelle by Sergio Assad.
Oh, yeah.
That was
what
beautiful. Beautiful piece.
Yeah. Yes,
and it was
work.
Yeah, it was not only so beautiful, but I saw that the maestro himself gave you a direct commendation, which must have felt amazing.
Yes, indeed. This piece, as I told you, that is amazing work, amazing piece that I've been admiring for a long time, as well as the composer himself. At that point, I never could approach him, I never met him, never had any conversation. But through this piece, he saw my YouTube, he commented on it, and then he started to write to me and ask me to play a few projects for him, which is such a biggest honor for me.
Amazing honor.
Yeah. So I started to play more of Sergio's music, and not only playing his music for YouTube, but also on stage and for his project that he does. So recently, if you saw on my YouTube, I played a lot of his music.
Yeah.
But that piece, up to now, I still say one of the most challenging work
Oh my
that I have
goodness.
been
I could
doing.
see how challenging that was, but it's gorgeous. It's so musical
It's
and
amazing.
surprising. I mean, there are some surprising segues in that
Yeah.
music that you would not expect, which
Yes.
is what I love. I love surprises in music.
Yes. It's amazing. That work for me is still up to now still one of the absolute most favorite.
Oh, mine also. Out of everything on your YouTube channel, I love that particular work because
Yes.
I went through many different, but it's not even necessarily the technical aspect of it, which is very challenging, but it's the musicality of the
Yeah.
piece,
Yes.
which
Yes.
stands out. The compositional quality of the piece
Yes.
is
Indeed. Yeah.
extremely strong. So it must have been a great thrill to actually perform on the same day with his sister, Baji Assad.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, that was the first time I met Buddy too, and I've heard about her since long time, of course, because the Assad family are so famous and talented, and I admire every member. And actually, just few months before that, we had some conversation on Messenger on Instagram, because I heard she commented on my video of Sergio piece. So we exchanged a few messages, and I didn't know at that point, I didn't expect that few months later I shared the stage with her. So it was really a
Oh,
great surprise.
so that was quite coincidental. That was not a planned
Yes.
thing.
No plan at all. I found out that I got the invitation to the festival, and then I found out that, oh, Buddy is playing there. And then later on found out that she's playing on the same night with me.
Amazing. Oh
Really
my
amazing.
goodness. I would
Yeah.
have just fainted, if,
Yeah. Really enjoyed
wow.
her concert so much.
Yeah. Now, where did you record that piece and shoot the video? Because that was like, it looked like it was a warehouse or a log.
Apparel. Oh, I recorded and did the video in Vietnam when I came to visit, as I remember, 7 years ago, if I'm not wrong, 6, 7 years ago. And the location was actually the studio of a friend of mine who is a painter. So in this studio, he has some painting, but unfortunately, all the painting were unfinished, because he had all of his finished painting is all sold, or he had the exhibition somewhere else. So in the studio, he has only like all the leftover or the unfinished one. So the idea was mine. I was thinking that, aquarelle, it would be great to do in a painting studio. And I had many painter friends in Vietnam. So I approached him, who is a very famous painter in Vietnam. And he said that, I'm sorry, at the moment, I don't have any proper painting in the studio. You can come and have a look if it's okay. So I came, and as he said, there's nothing complete. But at the same time, I like the idea of nothing is completed, it's just a mess, but that is how true artists work. The
I
same with
love
my
that.
case sometimes, like I don't have anything properly done, or I really can play perfect. I work on everything a little bit, everything on the side, everything is an ongoing project.
Everything's a work in progress, as they say.
Yeah, everything on work in progress. I say that, yeah, that's it. That is what I want. So it
No,
turned out to be a cool and very different video. I also like the setting, Yeah.
yeah, it actually worked really well that things were incomplete. And it was very artistic, the video, the way it
Yeah,
was
thank
shot.
you. Yes,
And
thank
I
you.
like the way that in between passages, you would like zone in on the brushes,
Yeah.
and then you would zone out, and then the camera would get a little blurry, and then it would just
Yes.
melt into the next scene.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
That was,
In fact, the one who did the video for me, he was my friend in Vietnam, and he was also a guitarist, a classical guitarist. So he recorded for me and do the shooting. So everything was very easy when you work with someone, who knows about the profession, who knows about
Yeah.
guitar, and there's no need any explanation. It was really easy.
it's a joy, actually. I mean,
Yeah, it's a
to
joy,
work with,
yes.
to work with someone who has that artistic sensibility, and
Yeah.
they get it immediately without
Yeah.
over explanation, and then it's just
Yes.
so easy to work.
Yeah.
And it certainly manifested itself in that video. It really was very impressed with the video.
Yes, thank you.
And also, the audio quality was quite good.
yes.
How was that recorded, audio-wise?
I recorded in his studio. He has the studio, just record the sound, very nice setting, and I don't know much about microphone and all, but at that time he did quite well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was very happy with. I had some more videos with him, so I was always very happy with work with him.
Would you
Anywhere
recommend?
else I go, I'm not happy.
Would you recommend any other videos that I should watch on your channel that he made with you?
Yeah, I can give you a few, like the one I play a Vietnamese piece, Lơi Lơ, one Balkan piece. I can send you in email later.
Oh, beautiful.
They're all different, yeah, they're all very different. Some outdoor setting, and recently, it's not by him, but also a video that I like is the Cavalcade, the piece I played last.
Yeah.
in the program. I was sitting on the very old Russian car. The car
I saw that. It was actually like like an RV or something, like a green mixed vehicle in the middle of the highway, and you had this jean jacket on and heels,
yeah,
and you had
I
a
was
bandana on your head,
yeah,
and it was like really cool, and you were playing Cavalcade, and it really transported me to that place that sounded like the actual piece.
Yes, it's how it is. Actually, the piece is like a journey. It's about a ride, right? So it has a flamenco touch in there, lots of flamenco technique in there, and it's more like a journey. So I thought it's a perfect setting. The fact that I'm sitting on a vehicle on the highway and just take a break and take out my guitar and play.
That was so cool. And, actually that brings me up to a question that I had about Cavalcade, is that I noticed that not only in the song did it express the milieu of the actual piece, but you incorporate flamenco techniques into your playing as well, like rasgueados and up and down strokes with your thumb that aren't typical to a classical player. Is that something that you developed early on, or did you add those techniques in recent years?
As I told you that I got a lot of influence from my father's playing. So by watching him, and of course he cannot call himself a flamenco player, but a little bit here and there. So I was always very curious about other styles, flamenco and also rock, also blues. Like when I listen to music, I listen to all genres. I don't just limit myself in classical. So I guess by listening and watching, I observe a little bit here and there, and I never take any lesson about flamenco or other style. But every now and then I play a little bit. For example, Cavalcade is a perfect example of the flamenco influence.
Yes.
So it's not my first time playing flamenco style on Cavalcade. And also there are some of the technique that is not written clearly on the music score by the composer. So I just
improvise.
Improvise myself. For example, the up and down.
Yeah, that's what I noticed on the bass note. You had this constant droning of the low E string, while you were actually playing different techniques with the with the right hand fingers, which was
Yeah, so in
very
fact, the
cool.
up and down thumb is flamenco style,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I thought it would work perfectly there in terms of for the speed, but also for the effect of the sound.
and it did. It certainly had worked very well.
I hope so. The most honors is to hear from an audience.
Yeah, and I'm a musician for many years, so I understand, and I listen to these things.
Yes,
When you
thank you for spotting it out.
when you play with your thumb, or just in general, do you use the nail, or do you use a combination of the flesh and the nail when it's going across the
Actually,
string?
I used to play many years without the nail in the thumb. Only in the last 10 years, I started to play with nail. And the reason I didn't use a thumbnail before, because my father had an accident. So he never had the nail on the thumb. So
I
he
see.
played without the nail because of accident. But me, because of learning from him and, watching him so much, that I get also the habit of not playing with the nail. But then in the last 10 years, when I start 10 or 15 years, I start to work on more for the well balance between, the treble and the bass. I realized that it's not a good balance. So I started to play with the nail more. But then in that concert in New York, as I announced, I don't know if you were there at the beginning, that my nail was broken just a few days before the concert. So I had no nail on the thumb again for the concert, which made it
Wow.
extremely difficult and uncomfortable to play. So I was apologize. I was saying that I didn't play my best, and even if I try, then the sound is not exactly 100% what I want. But
Well,
normally I would have the combination between the flash and the nail, yes.
was it difficult to start playing with the nail after playing for so many years without a nail?
Of course, any change is uncomfortable at first, so it took me a while, I would say even a year, to get comfortable for
Now,
the change.
were you playing with nails on your other fingers prior to
Yes.
that?
Yes, so with these fingers, I started only when I was 15 or 16, because again, before that, as a kid, the nails were so soft, and at the time there was no fake nail or acrylic or anything. And I remember many times I tried to grow, but then before the exam or before a concert, it's broken, and it was so annoying, so risky also. So I decided not to play with nail until I grow up more, and the nail got a bit harder. So I remember it was about 16, when I was about 16, that I started to really grow my nails.
Now, do you use acrylic and other aids like that to help harden the nail? Do you currently use that, or is it something that you did not use before, but then you found that it actually helped a lot to start using it?
Actually, I never use anything on my nail. My nail, I play with natural nail. Luckily, I have very good nail since, after 16, 17 years old, when I started to use nail, it's also getting harder. So I always use natural nail. Just right now, still this nail was broken since New York, actually since 2-3 months before, and then I had to use glue to put the fake nail, and then the glue destroyed my real nail, and now it's still not recovered, so I have to use acrylic only in the thumb. But other nails are natural, yeah.
Right, but does it feel weird to play with acrylic on the thumbnail when you first start using it?
At first, maybe, yes, it really changed the sound a little bit and also the feeling. But it takes 1-2 days, and I'm
Right.
used to it. But I still wouldn't go for it permanently because, again, luckily I have my natural nail, not bad, very strong. But also I like the real feeling,
Yeah, me
of
too.
touching the string with my real nail. Of course,
Yeah.
some people, if unfortunately they have a weak nail, then it's a very good alternative way to do.
Now, the nails get stronger the more you use them. They get like harder.
In my case, compared with teenager time, yes. But with some people, I know it has to do with the gene, you know. So whatever they play, they still have soft nail. So I wouldn't
Right.
say the more you play, the harder it gets. It really
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah. I never learned to play with nails. I still only play with the flesh. I'm very open to actually trying to play with nails. Because I was always a rock and more of like a jazz fusion player. So playing with a pick. And then if I used my fingers, I would just use the flesh. But you get a much different tone with the nail.
Yes,
And
definitely. Yeah,
you cannot play the pieces with the same sound as
yeah,
you would without a nail. Because it sounds very round and dull if with just the flesh. But with the nail, it sounds very strong. Those
yeah.
notes.
If you know how to take care of it, take care or shape it well, it can create also the warm and round tone too. But also you
Hmm.
can have the bright and strong sound. And not
Interesting.
only in terms of tone, it also helps with speed. Like with nail, it just feel lighter to do the speed. Or
Interesting.
for example, tremolo. Tremolo for me is impossible. Not only for me, but I think for all the classical player, it's impossible to do tremolo without nail. So
Wow.
nails really help you to move faster and lighter.
Interesting. I never realized that.
Yes.
And the nails, should they be long or should they just be just long enough so that you can get both the flesh and the nail when you're hitting the
Yeah,
string?
for me at least, is I see this length is
Yeah.
not that long because I like to have the combination with the both nail and
Yeah.
flesh, or
Yeah.
to use them flexibly. Like sometimes I like the combination, sometimes it's only the nail, but it is also to do with the preference of different people. Some they have longer, some a little shorter, but I think I am on the very short side already.
Yeah, your nails are not very long. I was
Yeah,
quite surprised.
yeah,
Yeah, but they're very strong, obviously, and you've built up strength with them, as
yes,
shown, demonstrated in Cavalcade. You need a strong nail for that.
yes. So you take care, you file it every day, and I use sometimes the almond oil, to take care, or hand cream, not to let it too dry, not to do thing with water too much.
Do you have to constantly maintain the nail in order for it to sound as well as possible? Like, for
Oh
instance,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
like how
You
often?
Uh, every day, every time I
Really?
play. So like the proper taken care, like to shorten it maybe every 4 or 5 days. When it grow long, you have to shorten it. Then it takes more time to do. But every day before playing, I would shine it with very soft paper or the soft buffer things like this. You would find
Oh,
it
wow.
everywhere around me, paper. Everywhere, sandbag. They're everywhere in my handbag, in my wallet,
you
guitar
you
case.
cannot escape them. Wherever, every room, you can always
Yeah,
take care of your nails. You
yeah.
can.
So it's like naturally. Before I play, I always not just shape or shorten it, but just to shine it, just to make it smooth before playing.
Yeah. So are
Yeah.
you always constantly filing the nails every day so that they're the same length?
Yeah, it's no. As I said, I would do it every 3 4 days or 4 5 days. Yeah, but every day, what I do every day is just to shine them and to smooth them before
Right.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in order to develop your technique, you had to have played many, many, many hours every day as you were growing up, through your childhood into your teen years. Were you putting in, would you say, like over 6 hours per day with your instrument
Well,
for a long
I would
time?
say not every day. Like many other kids, I had to go to school too.
Hmm.
At 7 years old, I already did conservatory, so I have two school at the same time. the normal school like other kids, and the music conservatory. So whatever time left, that is when I have to do homework at home for other school and guitar playing. So I wouldn't say every day 6 hours. That would be a dream. And also, you want to play, you want to watch TV, and whenever
you were a normal kid. You were just a normal kid.
You were normal kids, yes.
And if you had some extra time, you would play guitar.
Or when my father was not at home, then I would sneak away to play something else, but not guitar.
But I can see you love the guitar. You've loved the guitar ever since you were a child. To be able to put that type of focus into it.
Yeah, I would say it's a love and hate relationship.
What's the hate part?
Course, well, the hate part is when I realized that I'm a normal kid. My friends can go out to play so much. Why not me? And then when the exam come from both school, that I have to do normal school and also the music conservatory, and I realized that, okay, why I can just not play and enjoy, why I have to do exam, why I have to do this piece and not the piece that I want to choose. So yes, I would say it's always permanently until now. It's still a love-hate relationship, which is healthy.
Normal complaints from everyone. We all have these complaints.
Which is a healthy relationship, the same as for couple.
Absolutely.
So right. I grow up with this feeling, with this relationship, and I'm still going on with the same relationship, and I'm happy with that. I don't complain.
Very good. Was there a point in your life where there was like a year or two where you really excelled to a much higher level? Like, for instance, you were going along, and then all of a sudden there was a big jump in like a 1 to 2 year period or 3 year period. If so, when did that happen?
I would say, I don't know if I can put it just 1 or 2 years, maybe a bit longer. I would say it's not only in terms of practicing and developing in my playing, but also in terms of my career in general. I would say that was when I was maybe 30 years old.
Wow, very late.
Very late. So let me tell you the whole thing in a very short time. I started to learn very early, and I graduated the conservatory also very early. But then again, being in Vietnam, it didn't give me so much chance to perform and to live with classical guitar. So after graduated, I actually started, this is also another reason to bring me closer to other style. I started to play in a band, and we play in like hotel, club, because that music bring money.
Popular music you played?
Yes, popular music, because that brings us money, and I had regular gigs and shows. And in the meantime, classical concert was only once a month, and mostly for the guitar club in Hanoi, and didn't bring any income. So because of this whole situation, I started to play with band, I started to play other style, and then, time passed by. It was a long gap of not playing so much classical music. And then I got married, and then I had children, naturally developed like as a woman. And then only after having 2 children, we had to move to a new country because the job of my husband. And then I lost everything from one day to another, because of moving to India. So I lost all my job, all my teaching, all my gigs, and all in Vietnam. And then to a new country, no friends, no family, no job. What do? You get back to practice classical guitar, because I know that I still got it. I still love it so much, but I didn't have so much opportunity to do it. So I practiced again, and then there was the international competition in the next city. I was living in New Delhi, and in Calcutta there was the first time international competition. The prize was big, and many big competitors came, many big artists came to perform. So that was a time when I put everything together in 3 months. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this competition. I don't care who else is competing with me. I didn't know anybody, so I'm not scared of anyone. So that was my first international competition. And I prepared in a very short time. And I got to the final. Out of 80 competitors, I got to the top 9 of all over the world. So in this top 9, I got a special prize. It's a best guitarist from Asia. And I would say that is the biggest motivation and the big boost for me to get back okay, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to go back and practice properly. I'm going to do more international competitions. And then I started to search. I took some online lesson with some very famous maestro. And I did more and more competition in about 4 or 5 years because I was already older than other competitor. So this is why I started early, but my career had a very long pause because of the situation, being in Vietnam, got married, being the mother of 2 kids, and then I got back late, but in a short time that I really put everything in. And yes, I would say those 3, 4, 5 years, still I could work harder, but it's not easy to compete with young people while you are the mother of 2, still taking care of 2
I can't even
young
imagine. That's really a fascinating story.
Yeah, so my only time of practicing was after they went to bed, after 10 o'clock until maybe 1, 2 in the morning, because daytime I'm at the same time still teaching, taking care of them, cooking, like other women stuff.
Yeah.
And only 10 o'clock after they slept, then that is the time that I practice for the competition.
And now your daughters also play guitar. I see. They actually, your most popular video has your daughters playing guitar with you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I also started teaching them when they was 5, both of them. Slowly, because I didn't have the discipline like my father had with me before. Also, it's different lifetime, My father was always working at home. My work was traveling, and also I was not with them so much. And then so always there's a gap of few months because I travel. So they never get to the level of professional, or we had to move the country every time, so I couldn't put them in a conservatory like what I had when I was young. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of pause in their guitar learning.
Yeah.
So they are still playing now, but not professional. And the older one, she already went to university, and actually she does aerospace engineering.
Oh, that's great. That's okay. Not everyone has to be a musician. She could play it
so that's what
unprofessionally, non-professionally as enjoyment.
Exactly.
And playing with her mom on YouTube and get 6 million views.
Exactly.
That's
so
even better.
Them, I told them that I love that you play music, that you keep playing, as long as you keep playing. But if you are good at something else, if you are passionate about something else and want to take something else to be your professional career, I'm happy, and I'm not going to interfere.
That's great. That's great. Just, allow them to explore what they would want to discover in their own life, not just force feed them something that you think is good for them. That's the best.
Yes. Yes.
Who were your major musical influences when you were growing up? Like, what guitar players did you look up to? And it doesn't have to necessarily be in a classical genre. It could be in other genres as well.
So again, of course, first of all is my father, because that is right there, right next to me. And also considering Vietnam in the 80s, we had nothing, not even a CD player, not yet CD at the time, cassette tape. I remember my father had a few cassette tape. which very limited. We had one from Segovia, one from Julian Brim, and that's it. That's the only 2 cassette tapes that he had, and also very difficult to get because he had a friend from America, from New York, the family that I stay. They are his friends since many years. So we had nothing to compare, to look, to see. Oh, and also the Beatles because of radio. So my father was a big fan of the Beatles, and I would say the first non-classical music I listened to was the Beatles.
Can't do very wrong with that, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say Segovia, as he's the father of classical guitar, and we all look up to him. We all get to what we are, the instrument get to what it is nowadays is because of him. And for me, just simply because that is one of the 2 cassette tapes that I had at home.
You must have worn it out.
Yes. And then later on, of course, when I get to teenager, then they start to have CD entering Vietnam, and also my father and also my teacher has friends from overseas sending us. So that's how I discover like John Williams, and then some younger player. And then when internet started, that is when for us it's like
Everything opened up.
Everything opened up, yeah. But that was when I was already 22, 23. But during the time that I study, I rely on books and cassette tape from teachers and from my father, which is not much.
Which actually is a good thing, because the trouble with young people today is that they have YouTube and they learn visually. But because when we grew up, we had to develop our ears so that we could have like very, very perceptive ears, and we can learn songs off of a record, off of a cassette. I mean, that's how I learned. I learned by copying records. And exactly. I would wear out the records, with the needle on the record until it was warped and it would skip.
Yeah.
And I learned playing Al Di Meola and John McLaughlin, and I went to see the original Paco de Lucia, John McLaughlin, and Al Di Meola concert in Carnegie Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 1981.
Yeah. This is another thing that I always tell my students that, okay, you guys are very lucky now. You have YouTube. You can watch anything, and you have internet to download any pieces that you want. At my time, we didn't even have the copy machine at the time. So every piece that I learned, my teacher give me the book, and I would have to rewrite, handwriting. And sometimes it's like 8-minute pieces. I don't know how many days it took me to copy one piece.
Yeah, I remember.
And then I have to send back the book to the teacher because there was no copy machine, no photocopy machine.
Yeah.
That already give you so much detail to learn when you write, note to note. And then there was no YouTube to listen. So when you learn a new piece, it is your new piece, your interpretation. There's nobody else that you copy.
Right.
So it really developed more the creativity than
Absolutely.
now.
And that's what's missing today.
Exactly.
Even though it was more difficult by today's standards, so much more difficult, it was a wonderful thing because it developed your ear, it developed your creativity, it forced you to work and develop your craft and the nuances of your craft.
Yes.
Okay. That unfortunately kids today do not have that motivation to pursue because it's too easy to learn by YouTube because you learn visually. You look at someone's fingers, but you don't learn how to play the scales and you don't learn the theory necessarily. You don't learn how to develop your ear, which is the most important thing, because we've had to copy records and cassettes or transcribe music off of a score, which required learning how to read and write music at a very young age. They don't have to do this.
Yeah.
So we're lucky. the way I look at it, we are lucky to be in
Yeah.
this generation because the conditions forced us to become better players and better musicians.
Yeah.
We had
You
to.
have no choice. You have only
Yeah.
one way to do. So you have to
Yeah.
do it. If you want to play this piece, that's the only way. So
Right.
talk about non-classical music. I also, if you are talking about guitar idol, I look up to that you just named. I remember now Paco de Lucia
Paco de
was
Lucia.
so
Yes.
yes my idol for flamenco guitar, and I remember the trio that you were talking, Paco with Andy Mella, with John McLaughlin, and the piece that they played together, the Mediterranean Sun Dance.
Oh, yeah. In fact, Al Di Meola still plays that piece.
Yeah, so
And
I remember we had the other time already we had the CD. So with my group, because we have also two guitarists and one contrabass player and one percussion. So the only way at that time, again, no internet. So I had to listen to the CD, put it over back and forth all over again to write down, the part.
oh, it
And
was
it took like
it was
hours and
torture at
hours.
times. It could be
Yeah,
torture because it was I had the vinyl record and I was like over and over to learn a part because Al Di Meola had these very fast parts. And I
yeah,
remember learning Splendido Sundance off of Splendido Hotel off of his fourth album. I remember learning that part and it was like I still remember it today. I can't play it very well, but it went something like this, like yeah, something like that.
cool.
And it was hell to learn, you know. And then you had this piece that goes, uh, something like that, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. But I wore that record out. I remember. And then I ended up playing "Chasing the Voodoo," which was off of Casino for my high school talent show. And I snuck in a 21-year-old drummer when I was 18 who actually learned from Buddy Rich's teacher, used to be his like pet student. And he had the keys to his studio and everything. It was quite amazing. The way that that coup went about, you know, the way that I sort of schemed to get this 21-year-old drummer into the high school show.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
I listen to some of your music, by the way, on Spotify. It's really
Oh,
cool.
oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I just recently I had that music for like some of that music is over 30 years old, and I finally recorded it and played all the instruments myself.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Wow.
So it needed to get out, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You
But
know,
that's a good thing about nowadays is, again, everybody can bring to the world something an easy way, YouTube, Spotify, which is also a very good motivation too for people who used to think, I cannot play an instrument, I cannot play music. Nowadays, everybody can show themselves and have a chance, have
yeah,
opportunity.
absolutely. Now, the downside is that there's no money to be made with recordings anymore. You have to become an influencer and get adept at technical knowledge and social media. Before, you had to have a backer to start your career. You had to have a money person to put $250,000 into your career and
Yeah.
at least, and to finance your record. And it was very expensive to go into the studio. Now anyone can just like record a professional recording on their laptop or even on their phone,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is amazing. But now it's just like there's so many musicians or want to be musicians who are dabbling in it that there's too much noise out there. So you really
Yeah,
have to be.
somehow it mix up a lot. It mix up a lot, and yeah, I agree. Like for me at least, as I said, I am the transition between the two generations. I feel like, so, to be famous, to get some concert, to get noticed, it takes years of hard work, and I did competition and practice, and you get to know some organizer, and then they introduce to somebody else. Yeah. But nowadays, young kids, if they have one video that could be not necessarily good quality, but just different, could be weird, could be something that, because people are now more curious than appreciate. So you just need one hit on YouTube, and there you get famous, and then you get, like, from this day to the next day, become a star. But in our time, as you know, there's no such thing.
Right. The careers had to be nurtured and developed. The record company would actually hold you by the hand and develop your career.
Yeah.
And you had to sign a deal with like 7 albums.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that. It was such a different time. Everything is
very different.
Yeah.
Advanced, good and also bad. Yes.
Yeah, like anything else.
It's all mixed up. It's too much noise.
Right. You have to really be very unique or incredibly talented to stand out above the noise today. Or you have to have a very, very unique music or something that that calls attention. So
yes. Yeah. I agree.
We were talking about, or I mentioned, Kazuhito Yamashita.
Yes.
And to me, perhaps the greatest classical player. Technically, compositionally, if you remember, he did that 32-minute piece of Pictures of an Exhibition at the Toronto Classical Festival in 1984. Yeah. It blew my mind, actually. Some of the techniques he was using, like he was using a pinky tremolo with his pinky as fast as any other finger. And then he was doing counterpoint harmonies with the thumb. It's amazing because as incredible of a player as Yamashita was and is, he's overlooked by the classical community. He did not get the credit he deserved. Why do you think he was disrespected by the community?
I wouldn't say disrespected, but as we
maybe that's too strong of a term. But why was he overlooked and not given the recognition that he deserved? Because he's one of the greatest players of all time.
No, me personally, I also love and admire Yamashita a lot. I think he's very unique, and he has a lot of style in his playing as like a revolution. Very revolutionary. In terms of get the well recognition, I think it also depends on so many things. It's like in many other jobs, it depends on so many other elements. It doesn't mean if you're good, if you're unique, then you can stand out.
Yeah.
In this, because, as you know, I just get back to the classical guitar world, I would say in the last 15 years. And personally, I haven't met him. Of course, I know him through video and all very much. I know also his daughter, also amazing player.
You know his daughter?
I don't know her personally, but I've heard of her. And I listen to her a lot, and I think she's also an amazing player and have very much a strong influence from the father.
And did you know that his sister was an amazing player? And she gave it up in 1992 because she was rearing a family. But if you look into the record, she has one album out. And her playing, I think it was from 1986 or something like that, 85. Her playing was on par with Yamashita. His sister played the same level as him. She has one album. But
I didn't know that.
Yes, and then she gave it up in 1992.
Oh, what a pity.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of being, well recognized, I think, sometimes when you are, I wouldn't say good or very good, but sometimes when you are so different, when you're so unique, you could be loved or you could be also hated,
Oh, yeah.
people are normally like to follow something a bit more maybe mainstream. When you're so different, when you're so much unique, you also not necessarily always get compliment. So I'm not in the position of saying why and how, but that is my personal opinion.
Do you think there may have been some jealousy there from the classical community? Because
in which one there's no jealousy? Tell me which one there's no jealousy. So
no, because
I think that is common. That is.
It's very interesting that after his amazing performance in 1984, and he came out and did an encore, which was equally amazing, of I think a Spanish piece. He was never invited back to the festival. Very, very interesting. I still think that you should try to play that piece, Pictures at an Exhibition.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you wrote me in the mail. I have so much that I want to do. As I said, that, the life, with traveling, always constantly, next project, and some project I can choose my program freely, but sometimes they want me to play a certain kind of work.
Of course.
So always I'm engaged in this. And then I was just telling my friend yesterday that I wish I have 1 year of doing nothing, no necessary any project, that I can just learn and play what I really want to,
Yeah.
And then she said, I can do that when you're retired.
That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't plan on this question, but you bring up something important. What is the business of classical guitar music like these days? How do you go about getting jobs? How do you go about getting concerts when someone is not coming to you? You have to go to them. What is the process like? And is it a difficult process?
Yeah, indeed, it's not, it doesn't have a formula for this, and especially many times when I teach young people or I give master class to young students, this question came up a lot, like, how do you make a career out of a classical guitarist? So that involve it, it is necessary that if you play well, then you would have many concerts proposal or you get paid well. So the truth is, it's not necessary like this, and I guess it's the same with other job too. But of course, if you don't play well, for sure you don't get anything.
That's a
But
given.
if you play well, doesn't mean you get good thing, good
That's right.
concert, or good career. So yes, so that is the first very true but sad fact. For me, in my case, I think in this world, it has very much to do with, again, because it's art, as you said, you have to stand out, you have to be different. But that also a risk, because if you stand out too much, if you are too different, then you also have more haters. So what is the balance of just enough and not to get so much hater? And that make it art, and again, we all have to accept this because it is art. You cannot follow what everyone follow. You can't please everyone, otherwise you become commercial.
Right.
So it has to be the well balance of showing yourself, showing your style, speak your own voice, but not to get haters because you want people to love you and people to invite you.
Otherwise, you're like Yamashita.
I wouldn't name anyone.
Incredible talent.
But yes.
I shouldn't say that. He did very well for himself. He's very popular in Japan, and he has a wonderful musical family.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's famous. But again, end of the day, who is the best? Nobody can know, and there's no such thing as the best or the second. But in my case, even when I was younger, I wouldn't have this formula too. I found out it naturally, my way that works for my situation. So I cannot advise another young guitarist of, this is the way to do. Because that what works for me might not work for him. What works for him, for the other, might not work for me. So it's a combination for me, I believe, until now. Hard work, luck, which is, opportunity when you come, and the balance of, being creativity, following the mainstream, and creating the personal, you, the real you.
Yeah. But more specifically, like, how do you go about finding your jobs? If you're going to try to get your next concert, but there's no opportunity coming your way, how do you go about getting your next concert? Give me 3 steps. What would you do immediately?
What I know is people, not in my case, that people write a lot to organizer, searching, or you can go under a management company. So in my case, I would say, not proudly, but it was never my way to write to people. People normally fight me. I was also never so greedy at, okay, I need to play, I need to fill up the schedule of this year. So naturally, people come to me, write to me, and then I could somehow combine. So yes, in my case, I was lucky to have regular, not so much. I know many artists, they have much more crazy schedule than me, but I'm happy with the, the rhythm of my concerts, the numbers of concerts, just enough, because I'm also teaching. I also have a family and children to take care. I also like to go to the gym and, just
I've
to balance
seen that. I see it on social media. You post a lot from the gym.
Yeah, because I like to have a balanced life. Of course, in some other case, if you have to survive with this, you need to have concert next month, otherwise you have nothing to eat. Then
that's not a good situation.
Yes, then again, I also believe that I also don't like to play concert that way. That make my position different, that make my motivation of practicing different. So everybody have different way, different approach. But in my case, to get into this contact, or let's say classical guitar world, it was because I started the international competitions, and then many prizes are, you get to play the concert here and there. Of course, the payment was very little, but at least people get to know me.
Yes.
And then it's like creating the network.
So you would say that the most important way to get discovered as a classical guitarist is to win competitions or to place high in competitions.
I always tell to young people, I don't, because myself, even though I did competition, but I don't support it so much. Because again, I don't think music are there to compete. And I was myself also being a competitor, and also being later on being in the jury to judge other competitors a lot. And many times it was very hard situation to see. They are all good, let's say in the final, they are all good, all amazing. It's just a matter of taste. And maybe some jury like you, but the other jury don't like your taste or your style. Then it's just luck or not lucky that you win or not in a competition. Right. So absolutely. I never really encourage this way. But I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, recently or in the past, 20, 30 years in competition style, it is a very big method or big road to get to career. Nowadays, it's getting easier with social media, as you said. You just need to, end of the day, you just need to be seen. You can be amazing talent, but if you just sit in the corner of your bedroom and play for yourself, nobody knows you. How can people invite you?
That's right.
So whatever way, compete, get on stage, or play for free for the first mini concert, put a few YouTube videos, social media, whatever, using whatever equipment that possible now to do it. But if you want to get out there, you need to be seen.
There's no excuse, because there are so many mediums that we have to expose our music today. Instagram, YouTube, 2 main ones.
Spotify and
TikTok, even though I don't really endorse TikTok, but that's just another way to do it. But the thing about competitions, it certainly brings your profile to a higher level if you could win or place high. and then
Yeah, and
it
also
gathers
it set
attention to you.
your, yeah, it set your level higher, because I realized during the time I did competition, I had to learn really high level pieces, and playing in such a pressure, in front of the jury was the most difficult thing you could do.
But
So
that's a
it's a
good
good
thing.
training. It's a
That
good
is
training. Yes.
that's like the most potent training, to be able to
Yeah.
create and perform under pressure.
Yes. Yes.
Because even as a band leader for 20 years, I would tell my band members, and we would know, what you do in private is not what will happen on stage.
Exactly.
And you have to be able to perform on stage. And that means that you have to adapt to any situation.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say, follow the singer and you'll never go wrong. Because the singer would always like come in 2 beats early, 2 beats late.
Yeah.
There's never a mistake if you follow the singer. So you have to be
even
able to
if the
adapt.
singer, even if the singer is wrong, then just be wrong like the singer.
Exactly. And then everyone's right.
Then all wrong make one right.
All wrong is right.
Yes.
That's what I would tell my band members, follow the singer and you will never go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's how we often got through gigs, just following the singer. Again, I wanted to go back to it. If there was a young, talented player today who's trying to make a living playing guitar, what is the best advice that you would give him or her?
I would say, firstly, hard work is very important, of course, but also to bring your personality into your art. That's very important that many people forget, because if you only hard work, okay, in any other job you can do hard working and can be good at anything, mechanic or but in art, I think personality is the most important thing. You can combine the two. Plus luck, of course, there's always need to be there. Then we might have a chance.
Might. Even if you do everything right, you still might. There's no guarantee.
Still can be wrong.
What a business. What a business we're in, huh?
Yeah. And everybody look at us and still wish to be a musician. But the biggest reward is when you play, people look up to you and there is no competition, there's no comparison. You are there on stage, you are the star of the night, and everybody there just to support you, to admire you, and that is the biggest reward. And at that point on stage, you don't think about, do I get paid tonight? How much do I get paid? Is this enough or not? So I think those moments is priceless, and
that makes everything all worthwhile. Those special moments where people appreciate your work, and you get noticed. And I could not agree more. You have to have your own voice, and you have to embrace your own artistry.
Yes.
And you have to embrace the differences from other artists that you possess. Yes. And then you need to accentuate those differences so that it sets you apart and that people know that you stand out because of what you do that is different from everyone else.
Exactly. And that's the reason why they invite you, but not the other guy.
Right. Great lesson here for young people who are trying to embark on a career in music, if there is such a thing. Tell me, how did you get involved with Charles Carlini's Guitar Masters Festival? I
think it was just one fine day. I got an email from him just out of the blue, just like I got a mail from Kazoo, and I got a mail from him. And so I go on, of course, every time when I get an invitation, I need to check out the organization. So I got to know that has been doing this business for many years. But this festival is the first one that he organized for all guitarists. So yes, through email, and then we come to an agreement. And for me, especially in New York is my first time I came to New York. So
Really?
I've been to New York, to US many times. I was touring in US many times, many concerts, but never in New York. So because New York was my first time, so that make everything much easier and faster.
It had to be really
That was
exciting.
not a difficult, yes.
Did you get to see did you have a good time in New York outside of music, going to see all the sights and
Oh yeah,
going to restaurants? Did you go to Broadway at all?
Yeah, I stayed 1 week extra. I mean, I came 1 week earlier because also because of between concerts. So I was lucky to have this week off and to have this family that hosted me during the time I was there, and they were very kind to bring me around. So I visited all the main, touristic, like the Statues of Liberty and Times Square. Went to eat many nice places.
Wonderful.
Great experience for me, the weekend.
Yeah. Did you go into like some of the other boroughs like Brooklyn and Queens or anything? Or did you mainly stay in Manhattan?
I actually stayed in Brooklyn because the family lives in Brooklyn. The first few nights I was in Times Square. I stayed in a hotel near Times Square, and then I moved in with this family in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's so wonderful, that you actually connected with your father's friend. And that was very endearing when you had him get up on the stage or like get up and say hello to the audience.
Oh, it was so emotional,
Beautiful.
Actually, this couple, they keep telling me for many years, they knew that I came to US many times, and they keep telling me, why you come everywhere in US and not New York? And they knew me when I was just born, when they were a friend with my father. So I said that, I don't know, I hope one day. And I was so happy. So there were so many reasons for me to say yes to this festival very quickly.
Yeah.
My first time was because of the family that connected to my father. And it was a really emotional trip for me, not just about performing.
Yeah, that was so beautiful. And I think he plans to have this festival annually. So I think that based on, your great performance, I think that you'll be coming to New York many, many more times. And I hope to see you in New York.
I hope so. I hope so.
It's a great excuse to come to New York, for sure.
No, I hope so. And I'm sure the festival, of course, the first time is always difficult and challenging. Of course, for me as an artist, I don't know much behind all of this work, but I'm sure Charles has a lot of work behind it. But I'm sure, and I hope, and I'm sure that in the next years coming, it will just develop by itself.
Oh, I think it will. In fact, next time you come to New York, we'll take you around one night.
Yeah,
Show you some sights.
Yes, New York is so big. I know that I stayed 1 week, but it was not enough.
No, 1 year is not enough. Forget 1 week.
Yeah, so yes, more reason for me to come back.
Yeah, you have to go see some Broadway shows next time.
I haven't,
Or there's so much, to do, like in any city, but especially New York.
Yeah.
So I'm just really happy that you actually got to live something that you wanted to do, like a dream for so many years. And I predict you're going to be doing it regularly. You're going to be coming back here every year, astounding the audiences with your playing.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
But the best thing is that it's an excuse for you to be in New York and to enjoy all the non-musical activities that go on.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure if it's for performing or not, I'm sure I would love to come back.
You will for sure. Do you compose your own music?
To be honest, I always love to do a little bit improvisation here and there because playing with the band but so only in recent years I have few small composition. So I wouldn't say I'm a composer. I also don't have much knowledge about composing, especially composing for instrument and like a big pieces. It needs a lot of knowledge that, in my humble knowledge about composition, I still wouldn't dare yet. But yes, I have some very small composition, and my plan for the maybe far future, when I have more time and being more quiet, I would say, is to research more and to compose more. Yeah, because I feel like this is a land that when I don't have to rely about technique anymore on later years to come, and I can express myself more and can escape also more, is through composition.
I think you would be incredible with your compositions, and I think it's something that you can't think too much about. You just need to prepare and then just present it to an audience. And then the more you do that, the more comfortable you become with it, and then you're a composer. And then, put out your compositions, put out recordings of your compositions.
Yeah, but I still would like to have a little bit of knowledge, because in classical music or classical style, there is a certain rule, a certain law that you should know, and then you can break the rule, but first you need to know the rule to break the rule properly.
Absolutely. What's the most difficult piece that you ever played?
I cannot say most difficult. There are some that I could name, but they are difficult in different ways, like technically or musically or spiritually, mentally. So, for example, Aquarelle by Sergio Assad, I would say one of the pieces that technically is also difficult, and musically too, because there was so much going on. And then at the same time, there is this Brazilian rhythm that you can never lose. And then all the voices twisting to each other, hidden. And so, yes, that's one of them. And recently I played, 2 years ago, I recorded, I don't know if you know, Nocturnal Opus 70 by Benjamin Britten, English composer.
No, but I'm going to look it up.
You can find it on my YouTube, Benjamin Britten, Nocturnal. So this piece is about the death, and it's not technically difficult, but about the idea, about meaning, and musically is complex. So I think recently that is, I would say, a difficult piece for me, that it took me learn it and then relearn it, and every time I get back, I have new idea, I discover new thing, I change a little bit. And sometimes, just to bring out the silence and try to make it really quiet and silent, it's extremely difficult, and more difficult than playing super fast. So that is what required in this piece. If you see on YouTube, you will know what I'm talking about.
Would you say that every time you play that piece, you play it slightly different than the time that you played it before?
Yes, in general, every piece every time you are in a different state of mind, you're different time, you are different physically, mentally, everything is different, and it should be that way. You should not play any piece the same every time.
True.
So
that's the beauty of music. When musicians are really at a high level, they will not repeat themselves in a particular piece. When I was doing many gigs, we would never play the same song the same way every time. There'd be slight nuances and differences, and that's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty of it. And you have like a only one, like one piece. You don't want a factory make 100 pieces exactly the same. It's only one, and it's the moment, especially with music, because it has to do with timing, and timing is moment.
Yeah.
This interpretation, you can only do it in this concert, the 27th of April in New York, and you can never repeat it again, and that makes it unique.
Right. And you could never have that same broken nail.
Yeah,
or
this
half
kind of
broken
stuff.
nail, okay, in the same exact way that you would repeat that
Yeah,
performance exactly.
yeah. So eventually, it's all good. I always look back at memory in the good way. There's no bad memory,
Yeah,
no bad
that's
thing.
great. Yeah. Would you say that the aquarelle is more difficult than any of the pieces that you performed on the 27th of April?
When I performed, no, on that day I remember I played the piece, a very different style, but the introduction and rondo by Dionisio Aguado. So he's a romantic type of music,
Hmm.
period. Very different style, but I would say it's also very challenging and difficult.
Oh,
Plus
yeah.
with the broken nail,
Was that the
it's very,
third piece that you played?
I think so, the
Yeah.
longest one, the longest
Yeah.
one.
I remember that piece specifically, and it
I
was,
didn't play at my best on that day because of the nail, because it's
yeah,
just impossible. It's really
yeah.
high speed and also musical idea and a lot of changes. You know.
You were all over the neck on that piece. It required
Yes,
like wide jumps and
yes,
high precision.
yes.
And that's the piece where I actually, unfortunately, I came in. I missed your vowels piece, unfortunately, because I came in
Okay,
a bit
okay.
late. But I love the way
Mhm.
that you perform that in the recording. The vowels from Adam of Adam.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, yeah. I love
Yeah,
that piece. It's a nice, easy listening piece. It's beautiful piece.
French composer, isn't?
He's a French composer. He's my
Yes.
friend. I like to play this for the beginning of the concert because it's just nice to set the evening, put
Yeah.
everyone on silence, and whatever style you like this, so it's like to please everyone.
It was a good
Everyone.
entree, a good
Yeah,
entrance point,
yeah,
just to ease them
exactly.
in into the
Yeah.
concert.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes improvise within a piece? Because generally people think that classical guitar is very structured
Yeah.
and, played according to the score. Exactly.
Mm.
But is there room for improvisation in classical guitar music?
You see, in classical music, the improvisation has a different meaning, different ways to do. So, for example, in your music or rock, you make completely a new thing, melody based on the harmony of the rhythm player.
Hmm.
So, in classical music, we have everything written in score that we follow. So, our improvisation is in terms of interpretation. For example, about dynamics, about rhythm, about tempo, about the pose. Could be also about fingering, but that is also very risky. Like if you change fingering, if
Too
I used
risky.
to play, yeah, it's already risky. But some people do that, and I do that sometimes too. But yes, or if you want to change something in terms of note, one octave different, adding a few little slur, yes, so that I would say that the maximum we improvise. We don't make completely something new out of a back piece.
Yeah, I just interviewed Juanito Pascual, the flamenco player who played the
Hmm.
night before.
Okay.
And with flamenco, the improvisation is different as well. The way that you're playing something with the right hand, for instance.
Yeah, so I believe in every music the improvisation has a different meaning.
Yeah,
So yeah, in classical you can do a few things, but mostly in interpretation, you don't change the note, you don't change the rhythm.
right. Do you always commit a piece to memory, or are there times you will need to read the score cold?
Most of the time I memorize the pieces when I perform, but also many times like if if the organizer would ask me to play a piece and if I don't have enough time to learn, then I would have to bring the score on the stage. I don't like that way so much, but if it's needed, then I do it
Yeah.
sometime. Or when I play with other musicians, like chamber music, uh, a very long piece, like a long concerto of 20 minutes or 25 minutes, which score helped me to not always look note to note, but just to have an idea, just in case that I feel safe and also could follow where the other is.
So ideally, if it's not necessarily cold, you would hopefully have time to prepare and like learn the outline of the music, learn the harmony of the music, and then on stage to look at the score as a memory device to help you in some passages where you may forget, or it may be a little more difficult and you need a reminder.
Yeah, mostly like this. I wouldn't come on stage with a brand new piece and, like doing fingering, unless it's very, very easy then.
Right.
But, because in classical style, there's so much complex in fingering and all. Even a piece sound easy and slow, you still need preparation about fingering. Yeah.
Do you still play electric guitar?
Honestly, no, because my daughter has an electric guitar, and that video was just very exceptional. That in one show, actually, I was playing with my daughter. I play classical guitar, she play electric guitar. So just one song, I just grabbed the guitar and play for fun. And I was jamming with the backing track.
Yeah, that was just like an impromptu, like spur of the moment thing when you improvised in that video.
Yeah, it was fun.
I liked it. You were using octaves a lot.
Yeah,
like George Benson.
I don't even know what I did. I didn't even know what I did.
I was reading the comments, and people were saying, "Yeah, you're shredding!" Like, yeah, you're right. Like rock on.
They surprised because they only see me on classical guitar. So I thought, why not? Just for fun. Of course, to compare with electric guitarists, I'm not in the zone at all. But it's just for fun.
Yeah. Do you occasionally experiment with alternate tunings?
Yeah, you mean the open tuning?
Yes.
Like, yeah, we have a lot of pieces that we do different tuning. Like right now, I'm preparing a piece by Castelnuovo Tedesco, Italian composer. Mm-hmm. So in two movements, there is the E go to D, mm-hmm. and then the A go to G.
Now, the Aquarelle, was that in an alternate tuning?
No, Aquarelle was only the second and third movement. There is the D, E.
I noticed that. You were in drop D in that second movement.
Yeah, drop D,
because when you
second and third,
at one point when you played, it sounded like you just did like it sounded very full, very low.
Yeah, it's low, it's more full. And also some pieces I play also open tuning, like E minor or E major open tuning. Some Turkish music that also have very different tuning, like 3-4 strings retune.
Do you make up your own open tunings?
Many times. Well, sometimes when I play around, but I haven't got really anything written down as a proper composition. As I told you, maybe later, or who knows, maybe even next year if I have more time.
Yeah.
For me, composition, I need quiet and I need time. You cannot run around and organizing show after show and travel. It's hard.
Maybe you should go take a vacation on a small deserted island for like 2 weeks and just compose.
I always dream about this. Last year I had no vacation at all. This year I don't know yet. But but the vacation with family is different.
Yeah, it's not a vacation.
No, it's more like I need an escape.
You need a vacation from a vacation.
Yeah, a vacation from vacation or escape from the world.
Yeah. What's your favorite piece to play?
Wow, it's very hard to play. Again, as you know, that I play so many different styles, even in classical guitar itself. I can't say. I really can't say what is my most favorite. So what I know and what I like and do all the time is in my concerts, I like to bring out different style of classical guitar playing, like a little bit of classic, standard classic, a little bit of modern. But something that I like very much is Latin American music.
I've noticed.
Yeah. I don't know, there is something very catchy, like at the same time very passionate and always beautiful melody, and at the same time really rhythmic. And since I was very young, I already love to play rhythmic music. I love to dance, so I just love rhythm.
Well, you're a very rhythmic player, considering that you're a classical player. You often play these Spanish rhythms.
Yeah, I would say I
rumbas.
really like to play rhythmic music. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to see Yamandu June 8th. I'm looking
Wow.
forward.
Where is
Yamandu
it?
Costa.
Yeah. Where is it?
He's playing at the New Jersey PAC, NJ PAC, and then he's playing on the 7th in Manhattan,
Okay.
42nd Street and 11th Avenue. He's playing with a great Cuban composer, pianist.
You would enjoy it. I saw him last year in November. Yeah. Amazing concert. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an amazing player. Because you play popular music, or you've played, like you mentioned, there was a period of time between like 20 years old and 30 where you had to make a living playing in a band. So you end up playing lots of popular music.
Yeah.
Were you playing rock? Were you playing lead guitar, electric guitar?
We literally played everything. So I always play with the nylon string, but with the pickup, in a band, you need loud sound. So the pickup is the built-in microphone. So always nylon string, but we play from classical, but of course something more like easy listening, to pop, to flamenco, to rock, but jazz, of course. But no, I wouldn't say I'm a jazz player. I know some, like light jazz songs. And me and my guitarist, my guitar partner, because we are the main two soloists, so we exchange each other, we complete each other. I'm more into like pop, classical, of course, pop, flamenco. He's more into rock, blues. So there was some improvisation or some part of, some blues line and all. Then he does the improvisation because he's good.
Did you ever play his parts? And he played your
I'm more
parts?
like a melody girl. It's like I play melody and then he takes the improvisation.
I see.
Yeah.
And sometimes would you improvise during those shows?
At that time, I didn't improvise much because, I was young, I was very shy. And he improvised so much better than me, my bandmate. So he did mostly the improvisation. I was more like a nice sound, playing melody, fast finger, very well structured girl, being too young. But with him, with my guitar duo partner, I learned a lot about rhythm, about other style, about improvisation.
Did you have a full band behind you, like drummer, bass player, keyboard player?
No. We were most of the time 4 pieces, so we have 2 guitars. It's more like an acoustic band. We have 2 guitars, a contrabass player. Sometimes he play electric guitar bass, and a percussionist, or sometimes a pianist. So it depends on the day who are free, But more like an acoustic set, but not the electronic.
And you were working quite frequently back then? You were like doing every week, like many shows, or a few
What do you
shows
mean
per
every
week?
week?
Like
What do you mean every week?
like were you
9 shows per week.
No, not
9
that many.
shows per week.
9 shows per week you were doing?
Yes.
Wow.
For
I remember
constantly 10 or 12 years, yeah.
And how many sets per night were you doing?
Or mostly 3 sets, sometimes 2, but mostly threes. You know, when you play in a hotel,
Yeah.
you have to play throughout the time that people are having drink or dinner. So 3 sets, 40 minutes or 45 minutes each set. So we needed a lot of songs.
Oh, yeah. So you would do 9 shows, each show comprised of 3 sets every week.
Yes,
That's a
a
lot
lot
of
of
work.
music. That's why we had to improvise a lot, you know, otherwise too
Yeah.
many songs to play.
I remember,
You know the trick.
I know the trick. Yeah. I remember when I was in Singapore in 1995, the hotel band, they were playing 6 sets per night.
Yeah, that's
They were from the Philippines, you know,
that's brutal.
totally brutal. I mean, my band would play 3 sets, but long sets, like sometimes 40 songs for the night. 40,
Whoa.
that's a
Yeah.
lot of songs. But that's interesting. But that really, I guess, helped you with diversifying your music when you went back to classical.
Yeah, now I think back, you know, I always feel proud of every stage of my life. Of course, I know
That's
many
good.
musicians, there are many classical musicians, they're more lucky. They have always a very good family situation or being born in a very good society, you know, like in Europe, they got to study with the best teacher, with the best university. I was from Vietnam, you know, the conservatory in Vietnam was good, but you cannot compare with the European university at the time. And my family, you know, my father being an artist, we could never dream of send me to Europe to study for a few years.
Sure.
So it all like a very far away dream. So I had to do this. But at the same time, I enjoy this playing with the band because it's fun, because I could make money. And at the same time, I feel pity for 12 years of, long pause with classical guitar. But then now I think back, I feel very proud of that time that gave me all the strength and also give me a lot of idea and opinion and, you know, about other style of music. You know, that I got to learn, that I got to know, that I learned from my bandmate, that I learned by listening to CD and write down every line for all the musicians in the band, and the melody, the chord, the bass line. I was doing all of this most of the time. So yeah, thinking back, you know, all the hard time becomes really valuable, and I'm proud about it.
Oh, you should be. It really developed you in a very unique way for a classical musician to have that 12-year period where you played with a band in an interactive
Yeah, but I know
way.
for many, if I don't want to say for all classical musicians, they study classical music, they stick to classical music, they grow up and perform and make career as a classical musician. And if you talk about playing other style, playing pop music, they would think like something that they would never do. You
Right.
know, like it's a different class. It's a different class. So
Yeah.
this is what I know, and I've noticed a lot from many classical musicians. For me, I don't against it, but I don't agree with this because
Me too.
I think in music, okay, just because we learn classical music, we know that there are so many difficult things in classical music, but that doesn't mean pop music is easy. If you would go deep inside pop music, if you would do it as your professional career, you also know there are so many difficult things and so many details. So you should never underestimate other style, other genres of music.
Right on.
For me, I appreciate good music. I even listen to hip hop. Recently, I even
Yeah.
listened to also some K-pop song. In everything, you are not there, you don't know the game. If you are in the game, then only you know what they struggle with.
So true. But this is why the classical musicians don't appreciate other styles of music. They've never been in the game.
Yeah, because
And
they don't know. Yeah, they don't know. They don't even open their mind to just to listen. You know, you don't need to play alone.
True.
Just listen.
Yeah. And I've noticed that there's a certain skill set that you develop when you're a live working musician that many classical musicians do not have. There's some classical musicians who cannot play in a unit with other people and improvise on the spot and work interactively with a unit of 3 or 4 people, relatives who learned classical. She was thrown into a situation in a workshop where she had to play in a band situation, and she did not know what to do.
Yeah.
She was like, she just froze. Yeah. Because that's not a skill set that she ever developed. You know, she developed learning something precise from a score and to play it the same exact way every time. And then
this happens so many times with classical musicians, because they always learn from the score. They always have to need time to arrange the finger correctly in each fret. So yeah, like if you are in a situation, like if you play with a jazz player or pop player, that they have few chords, they play over again a few chords, and you have to improvise or play something together. They absolutely cannot play anything because there's nothing written, there's no paper anymore to look.
And that's really the opposite of my musical upbringing, because I was always involved with pop music and rock music and blues music and improvising. So, but I understand it because I see on forums people are saying, I cannot play in a group. You know, I freeze. You know,
so common for classical musicians. For them to play in a group is in a classical group where everything written in the score also, and we practice and we play together, but not in a spontaneous occasion like this.
Yeah, and they would say, without the score, I'm lost.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Which is very not right, because end of the day, you're a musician. If you just play as a classical music, if you say you just play with hand and with your eyes, now is the time when you have to use your ear and your creativity, and actually also musical knowledge, knowing about harmony, knowing about scale. If you know your scale, if you have the good ear, you must be able to improvise. There's no excuse. Doesn't matter you play pop, rock or not. You have to.
Yeah, there are classical musicians that cannot understand how a rock or a blues musician can not know a song and follow it by ear. They just they don't gather the concept the same way that I may not, or a rock or blues musician may not gather the concept of how do I read that, you know, and do that precisely to the score in one take. But well, you're very lucky, I think, to have both. To have that 12-year period.
Thanks to this period of time, but also my upbringing from my father, because he was a very open-minded person. He was an artist that he also write a lot. I mean, write like poem and some kind of quote, and he was always very open. And I guess that is the best that I could learn from him, not only in terms of guitar playing itself, but the idea, the mindset, to open to everything and to appreciate things that you don't know. You know, like if you don't know, okay, you don't know, you cannot appreciate much because you don't know, but don't underestimate. Because in every game, there is a struggle behind, you just don't see.
Oh, yeah. It's a different struggle and a different skill set. But it's just as important as any other skill set or struggle.
Yeah. And to improvise, you have to take risk. And taking risks is not the strength of everyone.
Yeah.
You're always afraid of playing one wrong note. And in improvisation, you have to take risks. And this is what I know that classical musicians are not comfortable with, because they don't want to take risks to play one wrong note, or the note that they don't know if it's right or wrong.
Yeah, they're not comfortable with ambiguity. They're not comfortable with the unknown. They need everything all charted out, otherwise they can disintegrate. I'm just the opposite. I embrace being in a situation that is unknown, You know, like throw me up there, just give me the key.
Because it gives the thrill, because the reward is the thrill.
Yeah. And the fact that I don't know exactly what I'm going to play is thrilling.
Yeah.
And then I listen back to it and say, hey, this was like really cool that I came up with something that I never even knew what I was going to come up with.
Yeah.
So,
of course, in classical music, you know, taking risks is the term of taking risks is in something else. For example, really challenging and difficult technically, really fast scale or something really complex in voices that you have to play exactly. So that is also risk that you have to. It's so much responsibility. But, so it's different type of risk.
Yeah. So but that type of risk you can practice continually until you get it perfectly.
Exactly.
But it's still a risk because the piece is so difficult, it's so fast and challenging that
it's always a risk, because when you get on stage, anything can influence and you can lose it. You know, you can never practice enough to say that, yes, tomorrow on the concert I will play exactly 100% perfectly. You can never say that. But again, as we said before, that is the beauty of performing. Because we don't know. We don't know if it's 100% successful, right?
But this brings up an interesting point, is if you're a classical player and you're not used to playing risks, you're not used to taking risks or improvising, when you're on stage and something happens that's unexpected, how do you recover from that? So you're not used to improvising, so you don't have the recovery skill that perhaps someone who improvises has, more so than you. You have to be able to recover from a mistake.
Yeah, so this what I would mean first is about the experience of being, like you say, acting or recovering. First of all, I always tell to people or my students that most of the mistake, because everybody are afraid of making mistake on stage, most of the mistake the audience saw it, but they don't hear it. They see it in your face, in your expression.
Correct.
But actually not in the note, because 90% of the audience don't know the piece that you're playing.
Yeah.
So if you make mistake, of course you need to be really experienced, and you really have a big gut to hide it, but you have to hide it.
Yeah.
They don't hear it, they see it in your face. So first of all, don't show it. Secondly, if the mistake is so big that it's affect you and you're playing or remembering what is next, then you have to recover it. I don't know, it's to do with practicing method. You have to be able to continue from any note. But many people, especially beginner, they have the habit of playing always from beginning to the end of the piece. So if you break in between, you cannot continue, and you have to go back from beginning, and that is not good. So you have to practice in portions, or part to part, or visualize the fret, practice without the guitar. So if you make mistake in this note, you can just continue right away to the next note. If you don't know exactly what is the next note, and then now is your improvisation skill, you have to use that. You know how it sounds. You just have to play the note, maybe not exactly the same harmony, the same bass, the same position of the finger, but just to go and get through, just not to stop and freeze and tell the audience, I'm sorry. Whatever happened.
Nothing is worse than that.
Yeah, because they already pay the ticket.
They don't want to hear you say, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
They just want to hear and be entertained by the performance. So, it's such a very important point, is put on your game face and keep smiling no matter what happens, and keep your composure, because most things the audience doesn't notice. They're not going to notice. They'll notice if you lose your composure, as you say. But if you keep your composure, any mistake that you make, as long as you can keep going forward, they're likely not going to notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like for
exactly.
instance,
But to do this, to have this kind of, how to say, a strong,
mentality.
confident, yeah, mentality. Yes,
Yeah,
you need to have confidence, and to gain confidence, you just have to do this a lot.
yeah,
So eventually, to perform well, you have to perform a lot. You have to practice performing. Get every opportunity, perform for friends, for family, or pay friends to sit and listen to you to perform, or perform for free.
make them dinner.
Yeah, make them
Payment
dinner,
comes in
invite
different
them.
forms.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but it has to be this way.
yeah.
Nobody can get there and to get on stage the first time and being fully confident.
Right. Right. That is a skill set unto itself. And the only way that you're going to get better is to perform in front of an audience over and over and over again. You're
Yes.
not going to get better by just playing something in your room,
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
Like, and if musicians notice other musicians, who cares? Because they understand they're musicians. Like, for
yeah,
instance, like I did notice like some mistakes, or not I
yeah,
wouldn't even call it mistakes, but some glitches that
yeah,
you made in your playing because of your nail. Like I did notice
yeah,
that, but
yeah,
you
of course,
kept
yeah.
smiling and it did not bother me because in fact I admired it more because you showed resilience that you could
Yeah,
keep going forward despite the glitch.
yeah,
So if your students understand, yeah, the people who aren't musicians aren't going to notice the mistake as long as you keep going forward. And the people who are musicians that notice the mistake are going to admire you
they
more
understand.
because you
Yeah,
were
they
able to
admire.
get through the mistake.
Yeah. So in any case, it's
Yeah,
a win.
it's a win. It's a win-win. Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is there anything else that you would like to tell my viewers or say in closing about anything?
Well, I don't know. We talk quite enough everything, but I believe and I hope that through our conversation, that all the viewers, our viewers here, regardless you are musician or non-musician or just music lover, I think you can have a deeper look inside of a musician life, something that you look from the outside, it looks like, because most of the people think that being a musician is, you just get up there, you just sit there, play a little bit, and so you can have a little bit clearer the inside of a musician life, that thing that look like perfect from the outside or easy from the outside, the fact is under the root, it's a lot going on. We also work very hard. We also get really struggle a lot to bring a final product to the audience and make sure you come to stage with a smile, with the most present attitude.
Most
But the
important
fact is,
thing, smile.
behind, yes, a smile. Even if we make mistake, even if we're scared to death, we still smile.
That's hard.
So, yeah, that is
But
so
you
hard.
can learn how to do it.
And you need to train a lot, you need to have experience too. But yeah, hopefully you would appreciate our work more, that to have these few moments live on stage. We work days and weeks and months and years and still fail. It's not guaranteed every time you come on stage you play a piece that you play for 10 years successfully.
No,
So
you may break
that
your
is-
nail.
Yeah, you break your nail and that's it.
The show must go on. You have to
Yeah.
adapt.
Or the room is too cold, or it's too much humidity, anything. So you can see now more obvious, all the detail, and hopefully to appreciate us more and love us more and understand us more. And end of the day, we are also human. We also work very hard, and we also really appreciate you as audience, because I always say we artists are nothing without audience. Even if you are the best musician in the world, you are nothing without audience. So yes,
true.
keep on supporting, giving love, understanding, and even criticizing, because this all helps us to
Just be a good human. Be a good human
Yeah.
and do human things and appreciate everyone, the audience, the music, the musicians. We're all the same.
Yeah.
Just, we maybe took a different path and we developed a certain talent that we can give back to the world.
Yeah. But don't forget that your audience, you complete the music because you are on the other side. We bring out this way, but it's only arrive completely to the receiver. So don't forget, you are the one who complete the music. So keep on listening.
Where can my listeners and watchers find new music from Tule, and where should they go to visit you on social media?
Oh yes, please, you can find me easily on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Facebook. If you are an older generation, I have to do that because nowadays the young people, they don't know what is Facebook, but I'm still using Facebook. So my YouTube name is Tule, THULE, very short and easy. Or Tule Guitarist is my website, and there you can see my concert schedule. You also find all of my score. I do a lot of arrangement of pop music or some famous classical pieces for guitar. A CD, like a physical CD, that I myself bring it to the post office to deliver to you. Or if you're a newer generation, then you can find on Spotify. Yeah.
That's so awesome. And definitely go to Tule's YouTube channel because she has a dandy YouTube channel. And
yeah, please. And you might find sometime, every now and then, a surprise. It could be me on electric guitar. It could be me doing gymnastic and on guitar at the same time.
You just never know what you're going to get from Tule.
Yeah.
Well, Tule, it was an absolute honor. Thank you. I just love talking music with you and talking life experiences and trials and tribulations.
Anytime.
You are a real human.
Thank you.
You are a very, very sensitive, very in tune person, and you love your audience, and and you appreciate your audience, and we all need to do that.
Yeah, we are nothing without each other. So yes.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
And keep posting.
That's the biggest point of music, is to connect people.
Yeah.
I know it's a very common thing to say, but it's true every time you think about it.
Yeah.
So it's my big pleasure today too, and it was fun to talk to you.
Oh, it was total fun for me, and it's still fun. And I want to thank you, and I'm sure next time you come to New York, we'll take you around town. And I know you will be back in New York because he's going to be doing that Guitar Masters Festival every year.
Yeah. And I also wish the festival best of luck and wish for it to grow more and more and to bring more music to music lovers.
Yeah, just to think that you were there as part of it the first year.
Yes.
You kicked it off.
Yeah, that's my honor. I hope it's a good start. So now it's put me in a very big pressure. Pressure. I started it, so it should be a good start. I hope it's to be a good start.
Well, for you, okay, you could actually aspire to go higher because next year you'll have a good nail. And then
I promise next year I will take care of the nail and not to be broken before the concert.
Yeah, of course.
It was really fun talking to you, and
yeah, it was great. Really, I had such a fun time, and it was enlightening. And I want to thank you. Thank you, Tule. Keep on.
My pleasure. Yeah,
keep on being your masterful self and entertaining everyone and playing these incredible pieces. I just cannot wait to hear your next piece on YouTube.
Yes, you will see it soon. Thank you so much, and yeah, keep making music, all of us. As I said, I need also the audience with me to complete the music. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. God
Yeah.
bless.
Okay, have a great day,
Have a
Kaju.
great
Thank you.
day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.